Flamethrowers, cleats that are illegal. Some of the craziest touchdown celebrations in NFL history. There's a lot of different things that NFL players got fined for, from $1 fines all the way up to $60 million fines and every other price in between. And starting with the cheapest fine, Chad Johnson tried to bribe a ref.
There he had $1 in his hand as if he said, "I'll bet you $1." He was going to pay off the officials.
And obviously you can't pay refs to make calls, even if it's $1. So the NFL fined him. But another player got fined even more for doing something illegal. This Lamborghini was Jordan Addison's, and he was always posting about it or driving it until he started recklessly driving it everywhere. Cops pulled him over for going 140 in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, so that got him ticketed and fined over $600. But another player got fined way more after wearing something that the NFL banned. Eric Ebron was always wearing crazy cleats, so he knew about the NFL's strict rules about them needing to be white, black, or one of his team's main colors, otherwise he'd be in trouble. But a few days before Christmas, he said fuck it and knew he was gonna get fined. He not only got 2 pairs of Christmas-themed, Christmas-colored, and candy cane Nike swoosh cleats, Ebron wore his twinkle toes while he was making crazy plays to jingle his team to a Christmas dub. But even though the Lions' official account posted about how dope these cleats were, red and green cleats obviously don't match the Lions' silver, white, and blue, so the NFL kicked Ebron with a $5,500 fine. But another NFL player got a fine worth over twice as much because of Donald Trump. See, the president and Nick Bosa go way back. I mean, Trump was one of the first people to congratulate Nick Bosa on being drafted. Nick's quoted Trump's tweets, and he even took pics with him at events. So when the 2024 presidential race was heating up, Nick promoted Trump on live TV.
What was said during halftime? Hey, all right, Nick Bosa with a message there.
Nick, you could be fined for your hat. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know, I haven't got one yet, but if it comes, it comes.
Did you know that going in, that could be a possibility?
Yeah, it was well worth it.
Nick really bombed an interview to show off his white and gold Make America Great Again hat. And obviously he didn't care that it was against NFL rules to wear something the league didn't approve of, because even though the NFL fined him over $11,000 for wearing it, he trolled the league afterwards by hitting Trump's iconic dance during a game. But other NFL stars were fined thousands more for whipping out some of the craziest celebrations in NFL history. First, there was a player who turned the NFL into the NBA.
Earmark that. Here is a completion to Jameson Williams. He is gone. Touchdown Lions.
But dunking on the goalpost is against NFL rules, so it got Jameson Williams fined $14,000. Now, Stephon Diggs got fined the same amount for a celebration when he copied Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's all because this baldy was always smashing beer together and slurping them before fights, so Diggs honored him during a game.
Rolling, looking, throwing on the run. Caught it, full line, it's Diggs with a touchdown.
And even though all those fans love getting wet, the NFL considered the celebration unsportsmanlike conduct, so they bashed Stone Cold Diggs with a $14,000 fine as well. But Derek Carr's against the rules celebration was inspired by Michael Jackson. After Derek scored a touchdown, he hit MJ's little dancey dance. And now, even though I thought Duke grabbing his sack was funny, the NFL felt it was too out of pocket and slapped him with a $14K fine. And last but not least, the craziest celebrations didn't just get multiple players fined, they pretended to commit murder. Now, alright, shooting Glocks and Dracos like that might have had John Morant happy, but the NFL felt like Justin Jefferson, Drake, Deshaun Watson, and Alan Lazard were acting too violent. So they were all shot with fines for, you guessed it, $14,000. But alright, enough about celebrations, because this next player definitely wasn't celebrating anything when he got an even bigger fine for trash-talking NFL employees. All game, Myles Garrett was not only being held and kept getting hit in the face, he also noticed his opponent's false starting, which all should have been called penalties. But since no flags were thrown, it allowed the Jags to create enough plays to almost make a comeback. And even though Myles' squad still eventually won, he went off on the refs after the game.
Officiating was a travesty today. It was honestly awful. And the fact that, they're letting them get away with hands to the face, holding, false starting. I know they called a couple, but damn, they could have called it all game. And, the one that cost us, they're on the 2-yard line. You can't make it harder by, throwing, holding and hands to the face, out the rule. But we get scrutinized for the plays that we don't make. So, someone has to hold them accountable for the plays or the calls they don't make. They need to be under the same kind of microscope as we are every single play. If you watch the game and you see what was happening over there on the right end, you'd understand. If you saw how my shoulder looks right now, all red and beat up and looking like I got scratched by a couple of wild feral cats or something, you'd understand.
All right, Mans could blame the refs for his injury all he wanted, but the NFL didn't care if he or his feelings were hurt. Because public criticism of officiating is against their rules, they fined him $25,000. But I could see that happening. I never thought I'd hear about Aaron Rodgers getting fined even more for going to a secret location. See, during the Jets training camp, this is where players and coaches, practice and get on the same page so they don't be asked during the actual season. But Rodgers decided the right move was to hop on a plane and travel across the globe for a secret Egyptian vacation. Now, I don't know if Rodgers was just kicking it at the pyramids, riding camels in the desert, or exploring the tombs, but he had so much fun, he couldn't stop yapping about it.
Yeah, you go out there, you think about the history of that place a little bit differently. I think we did all the other temples in Aswan and Sohag and different places before. It's weird, you go in the pyramids, there's nothing, no hieroglyphs, no nothing. There's also never any bodies been found. They told us there was
All right, bro. We don't give a shit, all right? And neither did the NFL, because missing training camp without an approved excuse is against the rules. So his little adventure got him fined $50,000. But Tyreek Hill was fined double that for taking his clothes off on live TV? Alright, after Tyreek randomly posted Team No Sock, I had no idea what the this man was talking about until news broke that Tyreek had been racking up fines for NFL sock violations. Yeah, basically the NFL rulebook not only says that socks must cover from the top of the shoe to the bottom of the knee, and that any skin exposure from the lower leg or ankle is prohibited. As you can see, Tyreek was clearly going against the NFL's rules. So even though he was just trying to give us some free footage of his sexy ass ankles, the NFL wasn't feeling it. So they fined him $100,000, $100K over something a player didn't wear? Imagine I fined you that much because you weren't subscribed. Well, it's happening if you don't, so click it. Subscribe. Anyways, the fines from this point on are about to be on a whole other level. Like another player's fines not only cost way more, they set an embarrassing NFL record. Terrance Knighton was a humongous dude. Oh my god! And since NFL teams fine players $1,000 for every single pound that they go over a certain weight, this 355-pound man was in trouble because he wouldn't only do interviews at restaurants and get annoyed when his fridge was empty.
We've got a situation.
Terrance refused to go on a diet and missed his weight goals so many times that he set the record for paying the most fat fines in NFL history when it racked up $300,000. But at least that was only affecting him, because another player got fined even more for creating some of the dirtiest hits in NFL history.
Rodgers fires, and then a flag, and it's because of that hit by Burfict.
Vontaze Burfict tossed out of the game. Burfict leads with his helmet and makes helmet-to-helmet contact.
Here's a 2nd and 21. Stephen Hill hit.
He did lead with the crown of his helmet. Roethlisberger from the pocket, middle of the field, incomplete.
And that last hit is literally known as the play that gave Antonio Brown CTE. This man injured so many players with dirty hits over his career that you can find an entire list of him getting fined for them. And the list totals over $400,000. But honestly, that's kinda cheap compared to the fine that a team got when they were exposed for cheating. The Saints were just about to beat Tom Brady, and they didn't want any chance at the GOAT making a comeback. So when Brady signaled for his team to go for it on 4th down, Cameron Jordan suspiciously looked at his coaches, then instantly took a knee as if he was injured. After medical staff came out and dude was taken to the sidelines, it wasted enough time for the Buccaneers to not only change their mind and decide to punt. Brady didn't have a chance to score, which is exactly what the Saints wanted. But as suspicious as the moment was, considering Jordan came back in right after, ball don't lie. 'Cause with just 3 minutes left in the game, Brady scored anyways, then he got the ball back and created a game-winning drive to completely stun the Saints. Now that's ridiculous, but regardless of who won, the NFL launched an investigation where they discovered that Jordan received direction from the sidelines to fake an injury. And since anything that delays a game without a good reason is against NFL rules, Jordan and the Saints organization were fined a combined $550,000. Dudes really got fined, and they couldn't even cheat to beat the GOAT. But alright, something even crazier and more expensive is when a team's superfan got fined $1 million for committing crimes. Chiefsaholic was known for being the Chiefs' biggest cheerleader, because I mean, he'd show up to damn near every single game dressed in his Chiefs-themed costume. And after announcing that he was going to be at the Chiefs' next game in Houston, then the game passed with no sign of him anywhere, people began to worry that something might be wrong. Not long after, a mugshot was released of a man named Xavier Babudar, and fans noticed that he looked just like the Chiefsaholic. The situation started going viral when it was revealed that he was caught fleeing the scene of an armed bank robbery, and eventually police investigated further until they were able to link him to not one, not two, not even three, but 11 different bank robberies across the country where he stole over $800,000. So dude's crimes had him facing 17 years in prison and a $1 million fine. But what's crazy about all of that is it still wasn't as expensive as an NFL player who was fined 12 times as much for purposely ruining a team's season. Haason Reddick was one of the many stars who recently got traded to the Jets and was expected to turn him into a super team. Until Reddick and the Jets just couldn't agree on a contract, so he purposely skipped off-season meetings, mandatory minicamp, and training camp. This was getting Reddick fined $50,000 a day, and dude still kept holding out for a new deal. He eventually missed the entire preseason and the first 6 games of the regular season. Now the Jets were sitting in an embarrassing 2-4 record. So cause they knew they needed him, they agreed to the contract he wanted. But regardless of who won the battle, Reddick's contract issues not only caused the coach to get fired, it sparked other problems causing the Jets to keep losing, fall to 3-7, and have a 91% chance of missing the playoffs. Their season was literally ruined because of this. And the $50,000 per day fine racked up over months until it eventually cost him $12 million, which is definitely a lot. But the most expensive fine in NFL history was so crazy, it forced an owner to sell his team. This was all because of Tiffany Johnston, a former cheerleader for the Washington Commanders who released a statement that shocked the football world. She claimed that she was constantly harassed by the team owner, Daniel Snyder. She also said that the work environment was like a frat party run by a billionaire who knew no boundaries. So the NFL had to investigate this. And that's where they discovered proof that Snyder was doing inappropriate things to Tiffany, which eventually had the situation taken to court.
I learned how to discreetly remove a man's unwanted hand from my thigh at a crowded dinner table at a busy restaurant to avoid a scene. I also learned later that evening how to awkwardly laugh when Dan Snyder aggressively pushed me towards his limo with his hand on my lower back, encouraging me to ride with him to my car.
Now, you'd think after exposing her story to the world, Snyder would accept that he was caught and step away from the team. But instead, he just apparently bragged that he wasn't worried because he had dirt on the NFL commissioner that would blow up the league. So at first, Snyder didn't even care that fans were pressuring him to sell the team. But that had other owners meeting together to where the majority voted and forced him to sell. Snyder eventually sold the team for $6 billion, and he was fined 1% of the sale, which totaled $60 million. 60 M's gone in the blink of an eye. But this video's gonna be gone in the blink of an eye if you don't click it, man. Bro, come on. It's cheaper to click this than any other find in the video, man. So I don't even know how you're gonna see that thumbnail and not wanna watch it.